The fastest way to fake a good RAG system is to never test what it should refuse.
Exactly. Teams obsess over answer quality on in-scope questions, then ignore the harder question: what happens when the user asks for something your corpus does not contain?
And that is where demos win and products lose, right? Because the model sounds confident even when retrieval found nothing useful.
Right. Out-of-scope testing is not about being polite. It is about proving your system can detect missing grounding, avoid invented citations, and route the user toward a safe next step.
So, what should an out-of-scope question actually prove? Not in theory, in a test harness.
It should prove 4 things. First, the system recognizes the question is unsupported by the index sources. Second, it does not answer as if it knows. Third, it exposes evidence for that decision, like weak retrieval scores or irrelevant chunks. Fourth, it responds in a useful way, maybe with clarification, fallback search, or a direct statement of limits.
Give me a concrete example, because this is where teams usually wave their hands.
Say you built a RAD assistant over your company's internal engineering handbook. Then you ask, what is our refund policy for enterprise customers in Germany? If that policy is not in the handbook index, a pass is not a guessed answer. A pass is, I cannot answer from the available engineering docs, plus evidence that retrieval returned unrelated pages like deployment standards or on-call rules.
That already sounds stricter than most evals. Most people just read the final text and judge vibes.
And that is the trap. Out-of-scope tests need inputs and expected evidence, not just expected wording. The input package should include the user query, the allowed corpus, retrieval settings, and ideally, a known statement that the answer does not exist in that corpus.
So you are testing the whole chain, not just the generator.
Yes. You also want the retrieved documents, ranks, scores, and the final response. Without that, you cannot tell whether failure came from bad retrieval, weak thresholding, or a model that ignored evidence and improvised.
Let me push on the ugly case. What if retrieval returns kind of similar text? Not the answer, but enough overlap to tempt the model into bluffing.
That is exactly why expected evidence matters. The evidence should show either no relevant chunks or only near-miss chunks that fail a relevance threshold. Your evaluator should check that the answer reflects that ambiguity. If the system turns a near-miss into a confident policy statement, that is a fail.
Example.
Imagine a support bot over product manuals. The user asks, does Model X support offline batch export to S3? Retrieval finds docs for Model Y and a generic export page. A pass says the docs retrieved do not confirm support for Model X. A fail says, yes, Model X supports S3 export, just because Model Y does.
Now, we get to scoring, because this is where nice principles die in spreadsheets. How do you mark pass or failure?
Use a rubric with observable checks. 1. Unsupported answer claim. Did the response assert facts not grounded in retrieved evidence? 2. Evidence alignment. Do the cited or implied sources actually support the answer? 3. Uncertainty behavior. Did the system clearly state limits or ask a narrowing question? 4. Action quality. Did it offer a useful next step instead of a dead-end refusal?
Binary or graded?
Both. For release gates, use binary on critical failures. If it fabricates an answer or a citation, it fails immediately. For tracking quality over time, add a score, maybe 0 to 2 per rubric item. That lets you see whether a retriever change improved abstention without making responses useless.
So, the real power move is deciding what is an automatic loss.
Exactly. If your product is used for support, internal search, or compliance-adjacent workflows, a fluent wrong answer beats a blunt refusal in the demo and destroys trust in production. Winners optimize for calibrated behavior, not just completion rate.
What should the test set itself look like? Because if people handpick obvious nonsense questions, they're not testing the dangerous edge.
Build 3 buckets. 1. Clearly out-of-corpus questions. 2. Near-boundary questions that sound plausible but are unsupported. 3. Stale questions, where the answer used to be true in old docs but is absent or contradicted in the current index. That third bucket catches systems that memorize patterns and answer from priors.
Give me one practical test case from start to finish.
Sure. Corpus, HR onboarding documents only. Query, how many paid volunteer days do employees in Brazil get? Expected retrieval evidence, onboarding checklist, laptop setup, benefit summary for the US, none of which mention Brazil volunteer days. Pass criteria. The system says the available HR onboarding docs do not contain that policy, avoids inventing a number, and suggests where to look next, like the regional benefits portal or HR contact.
And fail criteria?
Any invented number, any fake citation, any answer that generalizes from US benefits to Brazil, or a vague response that sounds complete without exposing that the corpus was missing the needed source.
So, out-of-scope testing is really a pressure test for honesty under temptation.
That is a good way to put it. Your system is under pressure to be helpful, your users are under pressure to move fast, and your eval should force the model to earn every claim with evidence.
Which means the scary part is not that the model says, I do not know. The scary part is when it says, I know, and your pipeline cannot prove why.
Exactly. In RAG, the strongest answer is not the longest one. It is the one that knows when the corpus is silent and makes that silence visible.